Welcome to episode 159 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am Dilz, and joining with me today is Magpie.
What's good, everybody? How's it going?
So this is our final recap episode. How exciting.
We're done.
I know. It took a whole year, but that's okay. We're finally out of the woods there. We're going to be talking about some changes that went on in November and December. Well, not just changes, but also upcoming updates that we're going to see in the near future. We're talking about things like the 10th annual Golden Gnome Awards went virtual, and they announced their winners. They're releasing this thing called Combat Achievements. A lot of people are excited for that. RuneScape's coming to Steam. That's a big one, I think. Not too sure. Fishing's getting their own Winter-Todt. Lovely to see. And there's some world crashes because some people are up to something that's no good. So a lot happened. But before we get into all that fun stuff, Magpie, what's new on your end? What have you been up to?
Yeah, let's see. So I have tried to vary up my content a little bit. I know people just think I come on here and just talk about PVM all the time. So I'll start with like the basic account progression that I've been doing. I've been reworking my POH a little bit.
Nice.
So yeah, my POH isn't like the best setup. I have like, dude, it was really bad. I had like portal rooms with like 2 of the portals not even activated, stuff like that. Like my layout wasn't that good. It was just like, it worked for me, but I could have optimized it a little bit better. And I still have a dungeon, which isn't good for loading time. Generally, you want as small POH as possible so you don't have to wait for ages for it to load. But because I was training construction back in the day with like oak dungeon doors, I still have my dungeon, which I haven't decided whether I'm going to do oak dungeon doors again because it's really cheap, or like do something more expensive because it's faster. But
yeah,
I kept the dungeon. I swapped out like 2 of my portal rooms with a portal nexus, so that cost me a fair chunk of change. For those of you who don't know, a portal nexus, basically in your POH you can set up portal rooms to teleport to different places. Obviously a portal nexus is like a level, it starts at level 74, and there's a better version at level 84, and then there's one at level 94 or 92 or something. And it basically lets you teleport to a bunch of different places at once. It's basically like an all-in-one portal room. Mm-hmm. The problem is it uses up a lot of flaw runes. It takes like, I think 1,000 times the cast. Yeah, so I think normal portals are 100 and portal nexus is 1,000. So a lot of flaw runes, a lot of money spent on law runes. But the main reason I wanted to upgrade my POH is because I was running out of bank space, and a lot of it was tied up in like treasure trail items and like random cosmetics. So I basically added a costume room, which lets me store all my treasure trails rewards, like my clue scroll rewards, and then also, like, the weird random event cosmetics. Like, yeah, like holiday items, stuff like that. I just can throw them all in there. And then I also boosted my construction with like fancy tea. And I just started going to different master clue stash units and like filled them up real quick because I need to boost with the fancy tea for a +3 boost, and then I can use the crystal saw to actually build the stash units, which is super crucial. You need 88 construction, but you can boost from 83, and it's mind-blowing because the ones I focused on were the ones that were really painful to do. Like, the Intrana master clue step where you have to, it's an emote clue, but you need like black dragon hide for it.
Right.
Yeah, so basically because you can't go on Intrana with armor, the way you have to do that clue step is you need to take crafting materials with you and craft the dragon hide every single time. But once you build the stash unit, you can just keep the dragon hide in the stash unit, and it's going to be there for you every time you need to do that clue.
Yeah, it's super nice to do.
Yep. I did that. I've been doing some Barbarian Assault with some friends, some clanmates, trying to get the Kandarin Elite Diaries, which I was talking about, I think, last time I was on the show, where I was just trying to get the Kandarin Elites. I'm still like 2 rolls away from level 5 and all rolls. I have level 5 defender from way back. I really like that roll. And then I think I
You
just
like
got
the defender roll?
So if you do defender correctly, it is the fastest roll. Like you will insta kill all the defenders pretty much. It's like some weird janky like 4-tick system because old school like runs on a 4-tick system. Everything spawns on that in an instance or whatever. But if you go and watch like speed runs or like really good Barbarian Assault players, if they put them up on YouTube or anything, or even just guides on how to do defender properly, like advanced tips and tricks or whatever they call the videos, you can look at how they set up food in a specific area. There's like a little grid that they make, and you set up food, and they have like weird names for it, like the short stack, stuff like that. It sounds almost like a baseball playing field. You have the shortstop in there, fourth inning, stuff like that. But then you can time it so that you like stack all the defenders in one spot, and if you take one step backwards, literally all of them will go onto Buzzsaw at the same time and insta die if you time it right.
Okay. My problem with the defender roll, it's like it feels so unintuitive.
Yeah.
I've kind of been tackling my candor, like that's my last thing to do for the Candor and Diaries as well. It's get level 5 in all of them. And so I do it every now and then. Sometimes if people in the CC are trying to get their fighter torso, I'll join them just to knock out some points. But when I was doing the defender roll, it was frustrating to do, but if you watch a guide, it tells you these tricks, these things to make it so much easier. But if you don't watch that guide, and a lot of people are just going to jump into Barbarian Assault, it's going to be it's frustrating doing the defender role, and it's why it's the most hated one, because it doesn't really make sense. Like it doesn't naturally make sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get you. It's like a really, really steep learning curve, but the plus side about it is like, I don't know, I'll use like another sports reference. You're like the point guard of the team, I guess, in basketball. It's like you have the responsibility of setting everything up for the team, and if you have a good defender, you're basically set in terms of how fast you can go. The defender is what like limits a lot of Barbarian Assault teams, especially in like a public world. If you have a bad defender who, like you said, doesn't know what they're doing, it's Barbarian Assault becomes really, really painful. But if you have a good defender who's just like, call for me and let me do my thing, and you can just like deal with the healers with red eggs and stuff.
Sure.
It's like game changing. So I did a bunch of Barbarian Assault, and then PVM related stuff. So I did start, and now I've paused it, which I'll talk about in a second, but I've started going back to the Inferno a bunch, to rail skipping, this time with a properly imbued Slayer helmet. It makes a world of difference.
Nice.
My goal was to get like a sub 90 Inferno PB, which isn't like...
What is it? Wait, 790?
Sub 90, so Inferno kill count with underneath 90 minutes, which isn't like too fast by like speedrun standards. It's pretty average, but it's still like end game content, so it's like a pretty respectable time, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah. If you're speedrunning the Inferno, yeah, that's even more end game than just the Inferno. Would you know what the record is right now for the Inferno?
I can actually look this up for you right now. It's definitely under 60 minutes for sure. It is 47:39 by Joelin.
Nice.
Joelin has like a 40-second lead on the second best, which is Adwam with 48 minutes 23 seconds. So yeah, it's really cool to watch like Inferno speedrunners, because the strategy is totally different. You just like you bring in chins, and you just like chin as many of like baby blobs as you can. You like flick everything. You bring in a bunch more restores so that you can just keep rigor on, and like you bring in a bunch of bastions. So it's pretty fun. I'm not there yet, but I did get 2 Inferno KC since we last recorded.
Nice.
And then I did die at Suck one time going for a new PB where I just like got greedy with my hits and ran out of the shield a little bit. And the reason why I can't go back now is because I got a little creative with my account. I wasn't burnt out or anything or bored, but as you know, I've been like working towards a harmonized orb.
Yeah.
And one day I just said, fuck it. And I did like a bunch of transactions at the GE. I sold my Inquisitor's mace. I bought a harmonized orb, and then a couple days later, I sold pretty much all my quote unquote redundant gear, and I bought my Inquisitor's mace back, which means I
nice.
sold like Bandos gear, Armadillo gear, my rapier, my arcane spirit shield, and my lance. I think were the 5 pieces of gear I sold. And
so why would you consider those redundant? Like those are all seem very good gear.
and so in my opinion, Bandos and Armadillo are like really big noob traps in terms of armor. Bandos and Armadillo really don't do much for you. They should be like the last thing you buy. A fighter torso is just as much DPS as Bandos chestplate, and because I have full Inquisitor, an Inquisitor's hauberk is the same DPS as a Bandos chestplate. And Bandos tassets are better than Obsidian plate legs, but again, I have like Inquisitor's plate skirt, so it's kind of redundant, but also a lot of times Bandos tassets don't give you a max hit. So you really don't need to wear them. If you're doing raids, for example, with a lance or a scythe, you'll see people like camping Ancestral bottoms or like Dragonhide legs. And then Armadillo, in my opinion, is like the most overrated piece of gear in the game, where Armadillo, like when you look at the stats and you look at how much it actually does for you, it really isn't as much as people think it is, to where like you can wear Blessed Dragonhide and be a-okay literally 99% of the time relative to Armadillo. The only place where maybe Armadillo armor is actually somewhat better is when you're doing Kriara, and even then you can just wear Armadillo D-hide and it's like almost as fine. So
when you say redundant, you kind of mean like GP to stat ratio, like how much stats you're getting for the cost of the armor versus the next step down, right?
Well, yeah. Well, if you look at like the Armadillo armor compared to Blessed D-hide, it's such a minimal. There's no like actual strength bonus in range armor, so you're not getting any kind of significant DPS increase. You're just paying for a slight accuracy bonus, and it's not as big as people think it is. So I definitely, like, anytime someone asks for like gear advice, I always tell them like, if you have armor, sell armor. That's like the first thing I always say, because Armadillo range armor is pretty restrictive in terms of, like you said, it costs a lot. It's like 40 mil, and that's mostly because it's rare. It's a rare drop from Boston. Most people don't do. So it's, in terms of like best in slot gear, it's really not that important.
Okay.
So I sold that, and I've just been like camping Nightmare with Inquisitors and a harmonized orb, which it's pretty fun, but it's like I'm basically broke right now. I literally like I don't have money to pay for supplies, so I'm like selling runes to be able to afford Sandfree serums to keep doing Nightmare.
No.
So I've called it like PVM staking, where it's like I'm just I'm just like rolling the dice on a big Nightmare drop, but it's nice because it's like the dumbest rebuild you could do, where it's like I'm just literally camping Nightmare for a massive drop. And with Nightmare, it is, I mean, I think you're a big fan of drops like these, where it's like the boss's drop table is pretty much garbage unless you hit on one of the rare uniques, and then you're really going to be in the money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty dry on Nightmare. I'm creeping up to around 600 KC, and I have not seen anything in my name at all. So
true, yeah, that's rough. I like how you are. What's the staff called again? I'm drawing. I'm really tired today. I'm drawing a blank. My brain's not working.
Harmonized.
Harmonized orb.
Yeah.
You know how when people first buy a house or they first buy a car, they call it like car broke, where like you have this car, but now you don't have that much money.
Yeah.
Like you kind of have to funnel more of your money into that car. You can't go out and like go to the bar as much.
Yeah.
So your harmonized orb broke. It doesn't roll off the tongue as much.
Yeah. It's like if you do a Tebow rebuild, you can just like, if you need money, you can just camp Zulrah, you can camp Brutal Black Dragons. If you're doing a Scythe rebuild, you're probably doing Theater of Blood, which is like, unless you're doing some janky shit with alts and stuff, it's the best money in the game. So when you're doing a harmonized orb rebuild, like I could go to Zulrah, which I got a Zulrah task, and by the way, a harmonized orb is really fun to use at Zulrah. Disgusting. It's
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Let's back up a bit. What does the harmonized orb do? Because the Nightmare has 3 different like orbs or different staffs that you can get from it that all do something a little bit different. What does and the harmonized is like the big one. That's like what, 1.5 bill, something like that.
1.1 is what I bought it for.
Okay, so it's gone down a bit, but yeah. So what does the harmonized orb do?
Yeah, so it basically, first of all, it removes the tick delay for autocasting, so it makes the attack speed the same as like a trident. And that's like the big thing, because it means that with the Nightmare Staff's like plus 15% damage bonus increase, it becomes like having a Kodai that can autocast really quickly, and it can autocast standard spells. So when people say they're using a harmonized orb, pretty much 100% of the time, like I've not seen anybody use it other than to autocast Fire Surge.
Right.
Because if you autocast Fire Surge with that 15% damage bonus, it becomes the best damage in the game when it comes to magic damage, because it becomes the same attack speed as a trident, and it has like higher max hits. It's super restrictive though. There's like, you can't really use it for Theater of Blood because nobody's ever on standard spells for Theater of Blood. You don't really use it for Chambers, whereas Sanguinesti is still probably better. It's very, very, very restrictive in where you use it. But we were doing the bingo, and ironically, like a lot of the bingo tiles, I was like, wow, could be fun to use the harmonized orb here, because it was like, you can use it at barrows to just like disintegrate Darok. Like I did a barrows run for fun, and I literally 3-hit Darok, and I was like, wow, this is next level. It's like really fun to use. At Nightmare you can hit 96s or 98s, which is like disgusting. When I first saw that, I didn't know how hard it would hit, but at Nightmare you have to attack the pillars with mage, and if you hit them with magic, there's like a damage multiplier.
Oh.
So it's really fun to use. It's actually cheaper to use than the Sanguinesti, but the thing that's killing me right now is going to Nightmare using up Sandfy Serums. I've been doing a lot of solos, so Sandfy Serums. I've been using the Blood Fury a little bit, which is pretty busted in itself, because it's like an Amulet of Fury that heals you every now and then. So it's been fun to do the content, but it's not fun like being so dry that you're like literally like counting, like in old movies where you'd see like a farmer and he'd be like counting shillings on the table, being like, I don't know if we'll survive the winter, Annie. Like that's how that's like me at my bank right now, trying to find out what I can sell. But
every now and then you're watching like staking streams. You're doing the counting cards equivalent of the Duel Arena.
Yeah, well, I did call it PVM staking, so
true.
I'm basically rolling the dice on a drop.
Yeah, no, well, that's a safer way of doing it, more satisfying way of doing it in the long run.
But that's pretty much been it for me. Like, mostly just the POH upgrades. The diary is slowly coming along. I still need to do a bunch more Barbarian Assault, and then I can finally finish with Candor and upgrades. But I'm really happy that I got the chance to work on my POH. So
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
The player owned house, going back to like when we first started, a nice round circle on your updates, but the POH, it's such an interesting piece of content, part of the skill, because like originally the player owned house was like kind of useless, right? You didn't really get anything much with it, but then they brought out like they had portals before, but they brought out the Nexus. They actually expanded on what portals you could use. You had the fountain, so you can recharge your health, your prayer, all that stuff is there. So now it's got the
altar.
Yeah, it's got some major uses, but it's also like like for me, when you're mentioning how like, oh, you thinking of removing the dungeon, it'll speed up load times, and it's like so interesting that like there's going to be people who want to do that because it's going to make things more efficient. You're going to be able to teleport. It's just the player owned house. It takes a few seconds to load, and that can get kind of annoying if you're jumping there a lot. Yeah. But at the same time, I always like I'm excited. I don't know if I'll ever get there because it's expensive, but I always wanted to turn my player owned house into like just decking it out to the nines of like, have your dungeon fleshed. It would make player owned house, the house parties so much fun, even though I'd never even thrown it maybe once. But like, I always fantasize of like really fleshing all that stuff out, because there is a lot of fun stuff you can do. It just, I guess it comes down to being kind of expensive, and you want to kind of have level 99 to get the coolest shit.
You should get like max POH and change your character to a girl, and like get a girl's RuneScape name, and then just literally like host the 99 like prayer training altars in World 330, and just like pretend to be an e-girl to get all those tips. I still think that's like an underrated money making method in the game.
That's how you do it. I do see a lot of female character models at the very least hosting house parties.
Yeah, you just like wear the short, skimpy skirt fashionscape with like flowers.
Yeah. Oh, and
pretend to be a girl.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, play your own house. It's some fun stuff. It's construction, something I've been doing. I'm kind of all over the place with like where I'm kind of working on my account. Like I decided I have with RuneLight, you have your little notes section where you can keep a bunch of notes. And I have like a little a goal list that was kind of like very outdated. It was basically only thing I had on there was like do your elite diaries, and I'm getting pretty close to that. There's just a few more I need to bang out.
Yeah,
I decided to go and revisit, do something similar to you. Put like one of my favorite pets. Make a list of my favorite pets on like if I ever want to grind towards something, this is what I want to do. Kind of come up with some other goals that I've been playing around in my head, but actually now put them on paper and actually work towards them instead of just kind of doing whatever the hell I want. But I decided to revisit that. And so yeah, one of those is getting the clue scroll rewards. So you get a reward for you get 600 beginner clues. You unlock like a new emote, which is it's okay. You kind of look through your sextant and it looks like you're looking for clue scrolls. I don't know. But at 500 easy clue scrolls, you get the equipable spade, I believe. At 400 medium clues, you get an equipable clue scroll that you're kind of always reading. Looks pretty neat. At 300, you get the emote to turn into what's that guy's name? Yuri. Yeah, he's the one that the emote clues, the guy who's wearing like ham robes almost. So you get an emote where you turn into that. 200 elites, you get an equipable chest, clue scroll chest, which is pretty cool. And then at 100 masters, you get the clue scroll bag, which looks really cool. It's a cape that looks like you're holding a bunch of clue scrolls. So I've been kind of I stumbled across, and the reason I have those as my goal is because I stumbled across the Fashionscape subreddit, and damn, if you want to get some, if you want to see some peak endgame content, working on Fashionscape, you can come up with some really good setups. And I was looking at them, and I was like, wow, some of these are so good and so well done that I now want to like start theory crafting my own Fashionscape stuff, which is. And then I was like, you know what? Some of these clue scroll rewards are going to be clutch.
Yeah. So, did you know, by the way, that the medium clue scroll reward, the equipable clue scroll, actually has like 2 different clue scroll like graphics? If you just have it out, it looks like a normal clue scroll, but then you can actually read it. And if you read it, it looks like a totally different piece of parchment.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, but like you said, a buddy of mine basically had the same goal that you just described, where it's like he plays the game exclusively for Fashionscape ideas now. And that sounds like he's burned out of the game, but he is anything but, because the grinds he's doing, literally this guy's like insane. Like if you think we're sweaty, like I love this dude. He's one of my closest, like not IRL friends, but RuneScape friends. But he's like a year ago, he was like, you know, it would be good Fashionscape. I need this max cape for a Fashionscape idea that I have designed. And he just like, okay, I'll max. And he just like spent 2 months just like grinding the game and just maxing. He was like a hardcore machine. And now I've been like catching up with him lately, and I was like, oh, so what are you working on? He's like, oh, I've been doing like 2,500 challenge modes so I can get the challenge mode cape for this Fashionscape idea I had. I was like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, it's, you know what? Like, there's going to be some people who are like rolling their eyes like, okay, wow, Fashionscape, so what? But like, a lot of us, like when I think of like me playing the game back in the day, so much of it was looking at somebody's character model and being like I kind of want to be in that guy's spot because he's got like maybe a dragon chain body. I'm going back like 15 years ago, wearing the dragon chain body, which is like, damn, that thing is like an awesome it's an awesome piece of armor. It's expensive. It looks cool. It's kind of hard to get. It offers decent stats for the time. Same with bandos. Like bandos is expensive, it's good, but it also looks cool. So you'd see people with it and you're like, shit, I kind of want to look like that. And as cool as it is to see someone with a scythe or see someone with a Tebow, if you see someone who's actually like put together a solid fashionscape setup where they've like, it's different. Like you can't just go and purchase Third Age where it looks cool. You have to like really get creative with it. You're gonna have so many people being like, yo, like what? Like what are you like? You're gonna have so many, you're gonna draw so much more attention to yourself. And it's funny how that's like, for me at least, it's always been a little bit about RuneScape, where it's like there's no transmog, so like what the person has, I don't know, like when you look at like RuneScape 3, like half the time the armor might look okay, but I don't quite understand. Like I look at them and I'm like, okay, I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Yeah, it's like it's almost you're mixing in like anime style like wings. They've got like a bunch of different wings now, and they've got halos with like fire coming out of them, and they've got like weird red eyes and
it's very over the top. But because, and with old school RuneScape being more simplistic, it like when something looks cool, it stands out more. And there's a lot of really cool fashionscape items that are an incredible grind. So one, you don't see a lot of people with it, but on top of that, if you can make it fit in a really cool theme, like the
Cast Wars halos.
Or like the aerial fishing with that fish you can get, that's like kind of rare. If you can get a cool theme, where the equipable tench, is it tench?
Yeah, the golden tench.
Yeah, okay, golden tench. If you can get that, and then make it fit in a cool costume design that you came up with, it's gonna be pretty badass. So it was that, finding that subreddit was a little inspiring. So I was like, you know what? And you've, to quote you in the past, you never want to focus on just getting money for items, because that's how you can burn yourself out, or you'll look at the duel arena. Having these other goals that you'll get money along the way as well, but if you're focusing on, okay, boom, I need 400 medium clue scrolls to complete, and then I'll get this new equipable clue scroll, which is going to look cool for whatever my fashionscape setup's going to be. And then along the way, who knows, maybe I'll get some ranger boots. So, and I say that because I've actually started doing my medium clue scrolls. I spent some money and bought a bunch of the eclectic imps.
Nice.
Which are imps you can catch, but you can catch them in a jar and then sell them, and then people will buy them for the clue scrolls. It's 1 in 25 for the medium clue scroll. You get some rewards as well, so it helps not impact the money spent as much. But then and then if you get any good rewards from the medium clue scrolls, that'll help you even more. So I'm working towards 400 clue scrolls. I'm at like 86 right now, so I'm working along on that. And another goal that I got completed this week, actually, and this was actually a really big one for me. Not so much because of the fashion.
The return of Dilz. Wow, this is news.
No, this was huge for me because I've been working on it for a while, and it's like, it's not something you can just grind out and you'll get. Like you have to get better at the game. It's like the Inferno, right? You can't just get the best gear and then it's a cakewalk. You actually have to be able to do the content. So
hit me with it.
All right, I've been trying to get my first Last Man Standing win for a very long time. Last Man Standing is a PvP minigame where you basically do one-on-one fights and you tri-brid each other, and then you be last man standing and you win. So I decided to do that to learn how to become better at like tri-bridding if I ever, and it's good practice for like switching gear for PVM and stuff. It's like you'll just get some skills on how to be better at the game.
Mm-hmm.
But also I just always wanted to be good at tri-bridding too. Over the months I was getting better, but I started getting to the point where I'm like, I want to try to get a win because I'm consistently getting kills each time. But anywho, it took me 128 matches and I killed 100 opponents before I got my first win. And that happened this week. I did a little stream for it too, which was really fitting. So I was able to get that cape in that first win, and it was good. You know, I made it to the semifinals a handful of times, but every time I did it, my opponent just outclassed me. They were just so much better than me, and they kicked my ass every time. Like there wasn't even a chance. Like you'd go, then I'm like, I'm gonna lose. But this was the first time I got to the semifinals, and the person was on my level. I don't think I got better to get myself the win. I just thought I was lucky enough to get matched up with somebody who was closer to my skill level.
Nice, dude. But that's still like massive. I have a feeling you did improve when you like 128 games, 100 kills sounds like a pretty decent ratio, especially if you start off by just having a bunch of 0 kill games. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Uh-huh. I did notice myself getting a lot better with tri-birding because when I first started, it was just overwhelming. But and then what I was talking when I was doing it on stream, so I had people watching me and they were kind of talking about it as well. People being like, "Oh, Last Man Standing looks kind of fun, makes me want to try it." And what I loved about Last Man Standing, and it's similar to what I loved about the Hallowed Sepulchre, and I can only imagine it's what I'm going to enjoy with the Inferno, is that it's like clear cut. You can see yourself improving.
Yeah.
Where when I first started Last Man Standing, I couldn't ever get kills. I got my ass kicked every time. But I didn't try switching from range to melee to mage. I would just stick between 2 combat styles because that was hard enough as it was. Throwing in an extra one, it's just I wasn't doing any damage. You're taking a lot of damage. You're not doing your prayers properly. It's just not fun. But then over time, you expand from having 2 combat styles to the 3rd combat style to, okay, now I'm switching both my offensive and my defense prayers. Before I was just switching my defense prayers. Anyways, and then you just notice, okay, I'm getting better. I'm starting to get kills consistently. I'm now making it to the final 5 often enough that I can see the win on the horizon. So it's fun. I recommend people who want to like learn tri-birding just go there and just like almost like brute force it. Just keep going. You don't have to do all 3 combat styles when you're fighting people. Just worry about doing damage. Just worry about doing the 2 combat styles, or even just stick to 1 if you really wanted to, and just worry about switching prayers and stuff. Keep at it. You'll eventually get some kills. You'll start getting better. So that was a big one for myself. Just because I've been plugging away on that one for a while, and it's like sometimes it's just one of those things like the Inferno, right? You just keep at it, and eventually you'll start getting to the Zuck. You start getting to the boss consistently, and then maybe you'll get farther. You know what I mean? Eventually you'll get it.
Yeah, 100%. It's nice because like I do enjoy Last Man Standing as a concept. I know I always come out here and like make fun of PvP and like talk about how it's dead content. The Wilderness is very much like going back a couple episodes ago, like it is still in a dire state, but Last Man Standing is a genuinely good PvP experience. Everybody's on a level playing field. It's a free for all. You're not going to get like clan mates pile jumping you or whatever. So it's pretty fun. But I agree. Like when it comes to tangible improvements in the game, Last Man Standing is one of the ones where you can like really see yourself improving bit by bit. Like the Inferno is probably one. Sepulchre, you said, was another one. I don't know if maybe if you're doing like raids, or Zulrah, I guess, is another one where it's like, okay, with Zulrah, you can like see yourself improving a bunch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Zulrah is definitely another one. At least for myself, I remember doing it, and I went from like almost getting a kill the odd time when I'm lucky to like, oh, I'm getting a kill almost every time now. Yeah. I might blow through my inventory, but I'm getting a kill every time. And you're seeing a good, and it's satisfying. You're like, okay, this is good. This is good to know I'm improving.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that was a cool little achievement to get, and I'm kind of excited to maybe work towards the I think it's the 100 wins cape. Now it's a lot. That's a huge step up, but the 100 cape, 100 kills, the 100 wins cape looks probably the best compared to like how much effort you need to actually put in versus the other capes. So it looks pretty cool. Hopefully I'll start working my way there. I haven't gone back though. I got the win, and I'm like I need a break. Let the adrenaline cool down, and it's been days.
It would be pretty
now.
sick if we came back like a month from now and you're just like a super, super sick like PvPer, which is, if I remember correctly, like what you wanted to get into old school for way back in the day. I know people keep thinking I'm like obsessed with PVM, but I guess this episode is like not doing me any favors, but I do enjoy other parts of the game. But maybe we could finally shift that label from me onto you being like a PvPer, and we just go to you for all the PvP updates.
Not quite. I just start becoming like super toxic as I start becoming a better PKer.
We get like flagged for a bunch of like homophobic slurs and stuff they keep dropping everywhere. We can't control you.
Oh geez, Spotify kicks us off. We become the RuneScape version of what's his name? Alex Jones.
Yeah, we become the RuneScape version of Reign of Terror, which is the RuneScape version.
Oh, true.
I guess.
Yeah, we're the the singular version of it. Oh boy, don't worry, it won't ever come to that. Well, unless I get really, really good, then maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, PKing's always been like something that's fun for me to do, but I never planned. I just want to be capable. I never want to become like some of those YouTubers that are just like just decking people. I don't know. It's always something. Yeah, as you said, it was one of the draws that brought me back to the game. I didn't stay for the PvP, but it brought me to the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was what was going on. And then an interesting thing I noticed this week. So since I was doing every now and then, I kind of like spending like 500k or up to 1 mil on like free to play gear, and then I'll go do like a little drop party in the GE just because I like to watch everyone scrambling for a bunch of like rune pickaxes and like rune scimitars and stuff.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? I had a bunch of these like alchable. Because of the bingo event. I was doing Venenatus a bunch, and I had like so many rune pickaxes. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the free to play world, and I'm just gonna drop them all around. It's gonna be fun, and I'll watch them. And do you know what exists? Maybe this existed for a while, but I didn't know it existed, and I was so mad. There's bots that sit in the GE and just pick up items that appear on the ground.
In free to play, or like also members?
I saw this in free to play, so maybe there are members too, but I did like the drop party, and I saw all these people like grabbing them, like, wow, these people are quick. Like they must have been ready for it. And then I saw they were all level 3s, and they were all like bot names. And then people are saying like, this is why I hate drop parties at the GE, because the bots are the ones that get everything. And I was like,
damn,
are you kidding me? This is I just dropped like 500k worth of stuff, and I just gave it to a bunch of bots. This is.
Did you try like, were they just in the, like, did you try saying like, I guess it's pretty sus if some max level account was like, drop party, just follow me, and like leads you to the wilderness ditch. I'm sure we've had experiences like that when we were kids, but did you try like telling people to meet you in Falador or something?
No, I didn't say anything, because it was like, I didn't want to be like drop party, and then you drop like 200k worth of gear, and people are like, are you kidding me? We spent 30 minutes following. I just wanted to drop in the GE, and I like just wanted to watch people scatter, and people be like, "Oh my god, who's doing this?" And then in the corner, I'm like watching, and I'm like, "They'll never know." And then I world hop, and that's what I thought was going to happen, but really what happened was these bots were like, "Oh my god, we just made another 100k. Let's sell it, real world trade it." Yeah, true. Yeah, they said something in binary.
Initiate pickup file.exe. I don't know how bots sound.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Yeah, so is that my week? Wait, really run through it.
Sounds like a pretty good week though. Either way, we covered it like a fair bit. We did some PVM recap, some PvP recap, some Elite Diary recap, some skilling recap. You know, we covered all our bases.
Oh
and
yeah.
Fortunately, we have no Iron Man mentions. So thank God it's been 40 minutes.
I'm not playing my Iron Man because Iron Man life, that sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
I'm not playing my Iron Man. It's just instead of spending a bond, I'm having fun on my main again, which is great.
Heartless is gonna listen to this and like shed a single tear.
There's one thing I actually wanted to mention, cover one last base, is that I am going to be getting 99 farming whenever I feel like it, because I'm like 500 experience away from 99. Yeah, almost 99 farming, so that's kind of cool.
Hell yeah. When's the when are you like tentatively planning on doing it?
I don't know. I got close. Honestly, I had this like revelation that like getting 99s aren't that big of a deal to me. Like I mean that like the excitement from going to 98 to 99 isn't that extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just because it takes so long. Like you kind of just like, okay, yes, I got it. There we go. And the cape is great, I guess. Some of them have better perks than others, which is when it's more exciting. Now, maybe getting maxed is cool because then you go to Max Island, you go to get this new cape that looks pretty damn awesome. So maybe that's a different story. But so I have a bunch of skills that are kind of hovering at level 98. That's magic with 50k till 99. I have 200k until 99 woodcutting, 500 experience until 99 farming. So I'll get there. I just don't know when. But the biggest thing for me was, one, I didn't get the damn farming pet, and the farming pet's awesome. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to keep grinding for it because it's a really cool pet.
Yeah.
And then I looked on the wiki, and it said on average, doing daily tree runs, it takes people 2 years to get the pet. Every day doing tree runs, two goddamn years.
Are you does it talk about like, I know the best way to get the pet is to like do the underwater seaweed patch or something. I think that has the best rate for the pet.
Uh-huh.
Maybe if you just like stick to that and like send a Hail Mary, I guess. Maybe that'll work.
That's the thing. The guide I was looking at was saying the tree runs are the best drop rates for how long it takes. If you just do a tree run every single day, maybe it takes 20 minutes, and you'll get whatever X amount of chance of getting the pet. Obviously, there's belladonna things you can plant. It's the seed, not the porn star. There's
Thanks
also
for the distinction.
it's so, I just didn't want people Googling it and then ending up in some raunchy spot, like watching pregnancy porn or something, because apparently maybe she does that. I don't know. Why would I know, right? And then there's the mushrooms and cannabis that are good as well. And as you mentioned, the underwater seaweed. But I think those take a little bit longer to start doing if you were to incorporate them. Point is, like, even if you add them in, maybe it'll be like a year and a half. That's bonkers.
All it takes is one lucky day, though.
Yeah, that's true. And I've already started, so maybe I'll do that, maybe not. But the best thing is I was able, so quickly tying this up, then we're going to move on to the news. But I got rid of all the seeds, which was great, because if you're getting into Fashionscape, you got to get a bunch of cosmetics, and there's a lot of cosmetics in the game, and there's not that much bank space, and seeds take up a lot of space. And I want to flesh out my costume room, as you mentioned, so that you can throw a bunch of your costume sets in there. I just worry that it's going to be a pain in the ass to go into your costume room every time you wanted to pull out some piece of costume.
What do you mean?
In RuneScape 3, you can put your costumes, you can put full mystics, you can put your monk robes, you can put everything into your costume room, similar to here. But the difference is you can access your costume room from your bank. So you could pull out, you could pull out your costumes and it's just from the bank. And by putting them in the costume room, you save space. And old school RuneScape, you need to go to your player-owned house, you need to access the wardrobe, you need to pull every piece out, and then put it back when you're done. That seems a little bit tedious if you're trying to experiment with a bunch of different stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but
yeah, no, I see that. It is pretty busted. But like the things that I put in my costume room were just things that I'm like, I didn't want to drop because they're a hassle to get, but I was not going to use them pretty much ever. Like the Frog Prince outfit. Right. That I just had, like, I hate doing that random event because it's like you're just sitting there doing your own thing and all of a sudden you have, like, you're surrounded by frogs and shit.
Oh my god, yes.
Hate seeing that pop up, but, like, I got a Frog Prince token, like, 3-4 years ago. I don't even know when now, but I just held on to it and it just, like, sat there in my bank taking up an entire space until I built that costume room. So just things like that, which, you're never going to wear unless you have, like, a Fashionscape idea. In which case, like, if you have, like, a random idea, I've always found that like Fashionscape is best if you go into it with an idea and you know exactly what look you're going for instead of like trying different bits and bobs on. So if you are like, hey, maybe I can use the Frog Prince helmet to look like a frog because I don't know, I want to look like a frog. It's pretty limited in terms of what you can do with that outfit, but you know what I mean. You can just like, it feels like pretty cool to be able, it's almost like digging in your garage and looking for something when you go into your POH and you're like, I know I have it in here somewhere, and you like go to your like costume room.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Knowing, like, having a theme in mind that you're trying to, like, you don't want to just throw around. Yeah, that's the problem. If you want to get a Fashionscape, you gotta think of a theme. I'm sitting there thinking like, I want to do like some sort of clue scroll, some dude who looks like he's always doing treasure trails. The only piece I know, that's one of the themes that I want to work on. Not there yet. I need to start off with that clue scroll item from the 4-inch medium clues. Another one I'm working on is like a Saradomin, like priest that has like the yellow, blue, and teal or cyan color schemes that you in that it's the the design most commonly found with like Saradomin items and prayer items. So like the Hallowed Sepulchre has a bunch of stuff like that. So we'll see. Maybe this is just a phase and I'll be like, I don't want to work on Fashionscape anymore. This was stupid idea. We'll see. More on that later. But yeah, that was basically my week in the nutshell. Let's dive into some news. What do you say?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So we're going to start this off by going to a dev blog from November 18th, 2020. All right, so they made some changes to Skull Scepter. Not a big deal, but they made some changes, I guess, to make it less useless or less useless for how pain in the ass it is to get. I've got one sitting in my bank, but I never want to use it because I think you had to get it every time. Yeah, so you can now break down pieces of the Skull Scepter to imbue it with more charges when you run out. You don't have to get the whole Skull Scepter every single time. I don't know if that's how it was before this change, but it was when it originally came out, and it kind of sucked to deal with every time.
Yeah.
But the main reason I wanted to visit this dev blog was because they released the Beekeeper's outfit from random events. So originally there's a random event with it's the Beekeeper random event. I hated it because I have memories, terrible memories from when I played it 15 years ago, and my innocent child brain could not figure out how to complete this random event. So I always dreaded getting it. But now that you could skip it, I skipped it every time because those memories hung over since then. But they now have a Beekeeper's outfit. Magpies, is this something that you were trying to grind out? Is this secretly why you created your costume room?
No, I didn't even know that that this was in this month's poll updates, but very fitting. We just talked about like random event items and storing them in your costume room, but I guess you could do like a coronavirus task force with the Beekeeper outfit. That would be like my number one Fashionscape idea for it.
That's amazing.
It looks like
I'm adding that to my my notes. I'm gonna make a Fashionscape theme goal set.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna steal
that. You
that.
could just like get a bunch of friends to like 6+ friends to just like surround a cute noob and be like, I'm sorry, this is a coronavirus task force. We're initiating contact tracing. It is pretty dark given the times, but it could be pretty funny if you do it on the right person.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's kind of like from Monsters Inc. Whenever there's that whenever somebody gets in contact with a human object of some sorts, and they have that COVID people breaking in. This analogy is falling apart. Yeah, so very fitting. Now there's people who are actually going to be doing the Beekeepers event. I think beforehand you could only get flax. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but that's yeah, you could get flax, only flax before, but now you get the Beekeeper's outfit. So that is interesting. That's not a great reward, but anyways, they've changed it. So if you want to grind out some more Fashionscape stuff, solid choice there. Moving on to a dev blog from November 20th. This is the 10th annual Golden Gnome Awards. It went virtual this year because of COVID. Normally they did this with RuneFest, but I guess there's no RuneFest at all. They're just instead doing these Gielinor Gazette monthly roadmaps, I suppose. But anyways, was it last episode? Maybe the episode before, we talked about some of the nominees. So this time we get to talk about who the winners were. So starting with the video awards, the category of best new old school RuneScape video creator, it is 9 Rain. So congratulations. Go check him out if you're looking for a new old school RuneScape video creator. I personally haven't seen any videos, but I do recognize him from the League's rap music video, I suppose. Moving on next, though, is best old school RuneScape video creator. This one goes to Jimmy. I know he was doing a by release series where he was doing quests in the order that they came out. I haven't actually had a chance to watch that series, but I've heard good things about it. Magpies, how big are you in the old school RuneScape creator consumption on YouTube?
Not too big. I do know if Jimmy's like his questing series. That's like the main one that I recognize from these guys. Although like the next ones, Exact and Randy obviously are notorious for the next section. But I actually do enjoy Jimmy's content a little bit. He is really young from what I've heard. He's like 19 or 20, I think. But
Jimmy?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, nice, good for him.
he's got good flow on his rap, stuff like that, where it's just like his content is just fun, free spirited. It's also pretty wholesome, like from what I remember. Um, I can't remember like specific examples, but I remember he had like an issue on one of his quests where people were saying like you can't do this because technically you're breaking the whole like quests one at a time thing. Or I don't even remember like what the series was specifically because it was so long ago. But he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna play this the way I want to, and if I have to make arbitrary rules to not like sacrifice my enjoyment of the game, then that's fine. And I was like, you know what, yeah, go for it, dude. Do whatever you damn well please, you know.
That's how it should be. People, I think, focus on other people's the way. I don't know. So for some reason, people take like the way people play the game very seriously.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like YouTubers. In the end, it's for entertainment. I get it. Where if they wreck their integrity, the entertainment might affect how you enjoy it. But anyways, we're going to move on to the next one. The best old school RuneScape video. So not video creator, but the one specific video. And this was a double video by both Exact and Rendy, the level 3 combat fire cape. So that seems crazy. They were kind of at this race, the two of them.
Yeah.
And I believe at some point they started kind of almost collaborating. But they're both racing to see who could become the first level 3 fire cape. And it was a double award where they both have it. I actually haven't had a chance to watch these videos. It's probably because I was away from the game when these were like kind of coming, when these videos were released. But I definitely need to go back and watch them because it was unreal watching their previous videos of trying to get the lowest level combat cape or the fire cape.
Yeah, it started as like a level 14 by Rendy, I think, and then they started getting lower and lower and like figuring out new mechanics and stuff. I think it came down to RNG where like I think Rendy got it first and he used like a poisoned bone dagger or something. And so he had to he had a bunch of different accounts to try the fight caves, and like he had to poison people but not hit the monsters too hard or else like he would gain enough levels to put him over level 3 until level 4. So that was like the big thing they had to watch out for. So pretty cool. Like, again, it's an example of like one of the ways people try to like maneuver the mechanics in this game and like set their own community achievements, which like you said, it's like a sandbox MMO in that kind of way. So
yeah,
it's a pretty big accomplishment.
It's like instead of speed running, it's who can get the lowest combat.
Yeah.
That's the version. Although speedrunning is still, I forget where I heard this. Maybe it was on stream, maybe it was on Reddit, but Jagex wants to come out with like speedruns, like officially implementing a scoreboard for speedruns in the game. Have you heard this?
It would be pretty cool. I know
like
that
they would have it so like quest speedruns, you would go to this world, you'd select the speedrun, and then your account would be given items, and then you're just set off to be who can like standardize.
I don't like the idea
it.
of like having the account get the specific items or something. Maybe that would work. I don't know, but I remember like a year ago we talked about what was it, like Great Games Done Quick or something? The website that like hosted speedrun categories, and they added RuneScape, old school RuneScape, obviously not the worst version, but I don't know if like that would be ideal for Jagex to have like a certain world where it's like, here you go, here are the items, now you get to replay the quest, go. Especially because like there are some quests where getting the items is really RNG heavy. Like for example, Lost City.
Yeah, that's true. I think the idea was like they'll have like a world for speedrun. So you'd go to that world, you'd select what speedrun you wanted to try, and they would have the standardized they would have it so everyone starts off in the same spot. They have the same they all start at the same part of the game so that you could, you, myself, Heartless, everyone else, we could all jump in. Let's see who could speedrun Tutorial Island the fastest. That's actually a bad example. Let's see who could speedrun Lost City the fastest. And we're all literally starting, like the starting line is the same for everyone.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea. I don't remember where I even saw that, but yeah, I thought it was cool. And I guess we'll wait to see if I just had a dream about that or if that actually happened.
For sure.
Next, we're going to be moving on from the video awards. We're moving to the streaming awards. So the first category is the best new old school RuneScape streamer. This was given to Sync. So congratulations there. And the best old school RuneScape streamer is Odablock. So congrats as well. I find myself falling off from the streamer content sometimes. I'm not really sure what's going on. The only thing I know about Odablock is he's very loud.
Yeah, he's loud. He's big into PvP. I don't know how to feel about giving Sync the best new old schools. Okay, well, we're gonna leave the tautology of best new old school RuneScape streamer, but I don't know if you recognize the name. Sync is really big in the YouTube community. He makes like a lot of guides and videos, like his solo Chambers of Zarek videos, like the one that everybody links. He has a bunch of like how to like, bossing videos, like how to solo Veneratus, things like that. He's a really good resource. I just don't know if I think he like started doing streams consistently in 2020, which is why he's technically a new streamer. But I think this was a chance for Jagex to like showcase an entirely new member of the streaming community or of the OSRS like content creating community. I thought that was what the spirit of the award. So I don't mind Sync winning it. He's like definitely deserves some kind of recognition because he's put in a lot of hours helping people over the years. But at the same time, like I don't think this was the category necessarily where I would have put him in. Does that make sense? Like I would have liked to see a new streamer who's like totally like an unfamiliar name. Like, oh, I've never checked this guy out, but now that Jagex has like highlighted them, I can go ahead and like watch someone new. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. Because I guess it would be similar to like if a streamer suddenly started making YouTube videos, right? And then being like the new YouTuber, which is like, they're just taking clips from the stream and they were already popular in the stream. So of course people are going to go look at the YouTube. Yeah. No, I get it. I guess it's tricky. Like how do you even find the best newest streamer? I guess somebody has to go watch streams. That's fun until it's not. Okay. Moving on, we're going to go to the art awards. So here at Jagex, we love seeing fan creations, and art is no exception. But these artists worked really hard, and they stood out from the crowd. Congratulations to the following. The first category is Best New Old School RuneScape Artist. This is given to Crumb OSRS. So congratulations there. Is he the he was the... Yeah, okay, that's where I recognize him. He is a YouTuber, and he would do videos where it's like almost like interview story based, something I hear a lot in like bigger production podcasts where it's like they get like some exclusive interview with somebody who runs a bot farm. You know, he would do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some interesting videos. So yeah, it's cool. He does art too. So congrats there. Next category is Best Old School RuneScape Artist is Seventh Sleeper. I'm sure we've all, if you go on even the subreddit or if you're on some Facebook groups for Old School RuneScape, his art is commonly shared. It's really good. He does
pop
RuneScape
culture references.
Yeah, with RuneScape theme. So he'll do like a Mario styled RuneScape picture. So they're really good. Next is Best Old School RuneScape Artistic Creation, and that goes to Lil Smokey with his avatar intro, but it's RuneScape.
Do you recognize Lil Smokey's like other content by any chance? Because I don't think this is his best work.
He won last year, I believe, for the Swampoletics Explodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Exposed, yeah. So he does a bunch of stuff, and he is pretty talented. In the video he made, the avatar intro, but it's RuneScape, looks really well done. I don't watch Avatar though, so I'm not sure if it wins bonus points because it's like, oh, I see what he did there. You know, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not much of an Avatar fan, but I guess it's like a lot of the references will be lost.
Yeah, maybe it's in reference to the movie because I know people loved that. Moving to the next one is Best Music Creation. This goes to Jimmy. Look at that. He's winning twice. Congratulations there, although Next, we're going to the cosplay awards. How does this even work virtually? So people would submit images of themselves in their costumes with wielding their props, they say. So the two cosplayers really threaded the needle. Best cosplay costume goes to Alt F4's recreation of the Valkyrie outfit. It looks really good, and it looks like a CGI rendering of a RuneScape 3 character.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It is amazing, yeah.
Super cool. I just wonder why. I thought this was all OSRS news and like OSRS awards, but I guess the cosplay section is just RS3, which is kind of disappointing. I'd have liked to see some OSRS cosplay, but it doesn't take away from the.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's still that's a good point because that is confusing because the next one is best cosplay prop. And that goes to Noxious IRL's recreation of the Noxious Scythe. So also, that's also a RuneScape 3 item.
Question: did he make his name because he wanted to make the Noxious Scythe in real life, or was that like a fun coincidence? Because that sounds like too close of a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking at his Twitter now. He joined in April 2018, but maybe he's been spending a long time working on this. Hard to say.
That is dedication. It does look really accurate. I'm assuming that's exactly what the Noxious Scythe looks like in RS3. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'd imagine. So, yeah, you make a good point where everything in this is clearly an old school RuneScape Golden Gnome Awards, and if it's not, then they should separate them because this doesn't showcase any RuneScape 3 content creators.
Yeah.
So that's weird, but then also you come down to the cosplay and it's just RuneScape 3 and they're really good, but maybe it's because like old school RuneScape, they're like, you know what, old school RuneScapers, they really like to make music, but they really suck when it comes to making cosplay costumes. RuneScape 3 on the other hand, I do know that RuneScape 3 makes a lot of cool ones because RuneFest every year, you see all these people, they're like, wow, these people look amazing, but I don't recognize anything that they're wearing. And it's because
but at the same time, like OSRS does have some cool. Do you remember the RuneFest 2019 guy who showed up in like a fully functioning, like flowing infernal cape, and it was like, whoa, shut it down, because that is like the best prop that RuneFest saw that year.
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, he came in and he won the cosplay award, I think. And he like did this like pirouette with the infernal cape, and it had like, you know how the fire cape and the infernal cape in game have like the animation where they're like flowing lava.
Yep.
His had that, and it was absolutely amazing.
That's sick. That's very cool.
But
yeah, I'm not too sure why.
Do you want to move on to the community awards?
I do. So community champions, they give out some community awards for people who are doing some cool community services. So the year's community champion award goes to both the RuneScape and old school RuneScape wiki. I was going to say development team. That's not right at all. The RuneScape Imagine Jagex, like, we win this time because we made the game. We made such an awesome game.
It's like the Barack Obama giving the medal to Barack Obama meme.
Does that happen? I don't quite get that.
No, it's just like a Photoshop.
Oh, okay. That's funny though. So the RuneScape and OSRS wiki, they get the community champions. It's because they did, not only do they do a ton of great work in general, but with RuneScape 3 having archaeology, and then also there's the Steam launch for both of the RuneScapes, and then old school RuneScape had Trailblazers. The wiki team really went into full gear and they made it so like, if you're in Trailblazers, like you go to the wiki, you'll find everything you need. It was very well done in a quick period of time. And then finally, moving on to the final award, it's the Outstanding Community Achievement. And this one goes to Foe, who is a streamer. He raised over $57,000 for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in just 4 hours. So that was that's crazy. 4 hours, 57,000. That's really great. I didn't quite catch that stream, but that's very nice of him.
All jokes aside, like if you were to ask me for one person who I think like best represents the good parts of the old school RuneScape community, I would say Foe. Like Foe is like a genuinely nice person, and to the point where like he, looking back on it, is the only person who deserves this award. And I think this is the first time. Yeah, this is the first time they ever awarded this. So maybe they did create an award just for him to win, which in my opinion is 100% deserved. So what Foe did was he had a hardcore Ironman, a really high ranked hardcore Ironman, over 3.4K hours. I think it was high up on the high scores, but I don't remember exactly like how high up it was. And one day I assume it was more than one day where he made his decision, but he went on stream and basically sacrificed his hardcore status. And I think he just went into corp with like a bunch of people watching him, and he just suicided and lost his hardcore status to raise money for St. Jude's Children Research. And if you want, like, I can read the blurb that he said and like how he described his decision.
Yeah, go for it.
It sounds pretty trivial to like lose hardcore status in a medieval fantasy, but it meant a lot. And here's what he said. I promise you that there are kids out there that would love to have 3,400 more hours in this world. Together as a community, we've raised over $57,000. We've raised that much so far. I know some of you are upset that I've let my account go, but this is nothing. 3,400 hours is nothing compared to what some of these kids go through. And I appreciate every single one of you that participated today to make a difference in some kid's life today. So it was an incredible moment of just like putting things in perspective of what matters in real life and what doesn't matter. And like having a red helmet and being on the high scores was trivial compared to like this one decision for him to just like change the colors of his pixels from red to gray raised $57,000. And yes, hardcore status means a lot to people, and it clearly meant a lot to him. It was an account where he spent thousands of hours on, but
it's very symbolic, right? It tells the hardcore status tells a story, and yeah. He took that account and literally made the most benefit out of it that he ever could. Like, if you could tell me that I could like use my account in any way to like raise that much money for children's hospital, like, you know, a good cause, that's like the best thing you could ever do, especially when it comes to no lifing a game like that. Sure.
So he's genuinely a really nice person, really, really well-spoken, well-meaning. I love watching his content. He is one of my favorite people in the game. So 100% deserved.
Yeah, I totally agree. He always seemed like a very nice person. He was very, if you watch his streams, they're just wholesome. They're chill. There's no screaming. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very wholesome stuff. And so I agree. So congrats there. That's a very nice thing to do. And of course, no one's forcing him to do it. He just went ahead and did it. And who knows? I'm sure he started up a new hardcore Ironman, and maybe we'll be seeing him doing this again in the future. More on that now. But yeah, I remember seeing a little Twitch clip of it. So I'm going to play it right here if I can find it.
Chad, I want you to listen to me here. I want you to listen to me here real quick. It was 3,400 hours of a video game character. I promise you that there are kids out there that would love to have 3,400 more hours in this world. Together as a community, we've raised $57,146. I have 5 more minutes, but we've raised that much money so far.
That's a great way to end this dev blog. But yeah, some good stuff. I mean, a worse way to end this dev blog it would be to ask the question, where's the podcast category, Jagex?
Oh, yeah.
Let's end it with some outcries. But yeah, luckily there's some more podcasts going on. Maybe we can all rally together for next Golden Gnomes to get that category in there one day. Yeah, congratulations to everyone for winning those stuff. So next one that we got to talk about is the Combat Achievements Pull blog. A lot of people looking forward to this one. It looks pretty crazy. It's not out yet, but they proposed the idea and they broke down what it is. Magpie, what is the Combat Achievements and how do they work? Do you know?
Yeah, so
Okay, good.
um, yeah, I know how much Jagex has informed us. So they say here that they basically tried to find a way to add a challenge for high-level players, and they said, known then as PVM Achievement Diaries, we were extremely excited to announce what is now Combat Achievements. So basically, it works almost like leagues in the sense that you have a list of tasks to do, and they give a little they give like some teaser screenshots and stuff like that with some placeholder icons, but you can see there like a PVM profile with list of tasks completed, boss kill counts, skilling boss kill count, raid completions, top boss, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say they give some examples of requirements. So for easy tasks, you're going to need around base 60 combat stats, 50 Slayer, Dragon Slayer completed. Medium is like base 70s with Monkey Madness 2. Hard is base 80s, 85 Slayer with Dragon Slayer 2. Elite is like base 90s. Master is base 90 plus, with rating experience and understanding of most bosses. And then Grandmaster, which is max combat stats, experience with all PVM activities. This tier will take our hardest content in the game and push players to their limits. If you thought the Infernal Cape was the difficulty limit, think again, which clearly is like going to try and entice a bunch of like endgame PVMers.
Yeah. You wanted challenge modes? We threw challenge modes on everything, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. So it says here, lower tiers are designed to help introduce new and less experienced players into PVM activities, giving them a taste of what combat in the game has to offer, but Master and Grandmaster tiers give us the ability to provide tasks challenging enough to stretch even the most veteran players. So they've given some examples of tasks. They give like an example screenshot where it's like an easy tier is kill one giant mole, and then they have a bunch of task types that they give an example of. So kill counts, you have to kill a boss a certain number of times, like kill 50 giant mole, complete 250 Chambers of Zarek. Speed, kill a boss within a certain amount of time. So kill Vorkath in less than 1 minute 10 seconds, kill Vazalra in less than 50 seconds. Restricted items, complete a task without using a specific item, so clear the fight caves without any ranged weapons. Spoiler alert, we just did this in the Wild CC Bingo, so we're all pretty much ready for this.
Practicing.
Kill Callisto without using Verax. And then on the other side of things, you have to use specific items, where you complete the task while only using a specific item. So kill General Gardor with Mage only. No damage, kill a boss without taking any damage, either at all or from certain NPCs. So kill Zulrah taking no damage from Venom Clouds. Kill Liliana without taking any damage. Kill Gardor taking no damage from minions. Area restriction, kill Kriar 25 times without leaving the room. Kill the Grotesque Guardians 20 times without leaving the instance. And then mechanic specific, where you have to defeat the boss in a way that hints at how you're supposed to interact with the boss, or task the player to kill the boss in a specific difficult way. So kill Scotizo with none of the 4 pillars alive. Kill a giant mole with protect for melee active.
Such a weird example.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because they talk about like defeating the boss in a way that hints at how you're supposed to interact with the boss. I guess they're basically conceding that 90% of the time players kill bosses not in the way that Jack's intended, and they just like cheese mechanics. So congrats, like one of the quote unquote difficult tasks for combat achievements is to actually play the content the way it's supposed to, apparently.
Yeah, kill Zulrah while eating food. You're just like, okay, I'll just eat some food. Are you kidding me? That's funny though.
But yeah, rewards. They've talked about rewards, so they have some poll blog questions that.
Oh wait, let me get to a poll blog real quick. Let me check.
Sorry, go for it. Yeah.
So question 1, should combat achievements, a new system that task plays with defeating various bosses throughout the Gielinor in multiple ways of varying difficulties, be added into the game? Completion of combat achievements will not be required when obtaining the achievement Diary Cape. So yes, this passed with flying colors. Question 2, if the game is added, should we give experience lamps depending on the tier? The amount of experience given would increase as you progress through the different tiers. Yes, that passed. Of course, people love experience lamps. Next question. Should each fully completed tier of tasks give a player a 5% increased chance of receiving clue scrolls from PVM and skilling activities as described? Clue scrolls from imp jars or clue caskets would not benefit from this increase. Yep, that passed. Number 4. Question 4, should each fully completed tier of tasks increase the maximum number of all bosses that can be assigned by a Slayer Master? That passed. Should completing all tasks within the Master and Grandmaster tiers increase the maximum number of Jad and Zuck that can be assigned? Master tier would grant an additional assigned kill, and Grandmaster would grant an additional 2 assigned kills, I guess making it so that you could get a task for 4 kills. Failing to defeat either assigned boss would result in losing one of the assigned kills. That's a weird one, but that one passed. Do you think that's a good...
Yeah,
that seems strange to me. I don't know.
Like I said, I've spent hours skipping for Zuck tasks, and if you get like a Master or Grandmaster tier, it means you're clearly like good enough to warrant getting more than one task, in my opinion. It doesn't really like add anything to the game where it's like it's not going to cause players to make more money or anything. So in terms of integrity, I don't think it changes anything if you get more chances to kill Jad or Zuck on task, especially because you could do them off task. You have to do the Inferno off task before you can receive an on task one anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe this helps people with their fire cape, but if you have a Master tier completed, you're almost guaranteed to have a fire cape anyway. So it's not like you're going to need extra chances of getting a fire cape with a Slayer task anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm pretty excited for this. This is like gonna be a big quality of life thing for everybody who's like either Jad skipping for the pet or like Turo skipping for a Zuck task or Jad task.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty good.
Okay, cool. Question number 6 though is, should completing all tasks within the Elite, Master, and Grandmaster tiers unlock a new Slayer helmet design? This design would be based around Jad for the Elite tier, Verzik from Theater of Blood for the Master tier, and Zuck for the Grandmaster. This one did pass. I don't know if I'm liking this theme where it's like, okay, let's just do Slayer helmet recolors for every piece of content. I mean, I get it. People like it. It is cool, but it just seems like so inconsistent of where these recolors come from, whether it's twisted, whether it's from killing bosses, whether it's from
combat
just
achievements.
beating combat achievements. Whatever. That passed though. I guess it's just easy, so Jagex sees it as an easy reward to pass off, and they throw it in as much as they can.
Yeah.
Question number 7. Should a new offhand that excels in providing melee accuracy be added into the game? It would increase the amount of stab, slash, and crush attacks for each fully completed tier of tasks, but it will have no defense and no strength bonuses. This did not pass. The first one to not pass.
This seems like you know how with achievement diaries you get like a certain upgradable item? Do we have and I'm about to break my chair here, but do we have like an offhand achievement diary item? I don't think so. I think this was like their idea.
There's a shield.
Oh yeah, there is the Phalli shield. You're right.
The Falador shield.
Yeah.
But this is like an offensive, which is interesting. Most of them, but no, it didn't pass. That's not coming into the game.
Yeah, I think it's because I don't know if people thought it would be redundant or it would be too strong. There's like 2 different categories. Maybe if you think it would be pretty useless, but on the other hand, it would be really helpful for spec accuracy. So if you're doing Corporal Beast, you just want to hit Warhammer specs as accurately as possible.
Yeah, true.
This would be a massive upgrade. So yeah, I don't know. It
Didn't
could be
pass,
both.
yeah.
Could be neither.
Question 8. Should each tier of tasks unlock daily teleports to the boulder outside God War's dungeon? Completing easy would be 3 teleports, medium would be 5, hard and above would be unlimited daily teleports. Oh wow, that's surprise. That one passed? I'm kind of surprised about.
It sounds crazy, but when you think about it, it's literally a very short walk from the Trollheim teleport that gets you there anyway.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, because like, I mean, I like it because I just ran out of all my scrolls of redirect, which means I need to grind out some more Nightmare Zone, and I hate that. But yeah, interesting. That one did pass, so yeah, okay. Should completing all tasks within the hard tier and above allow players to enter the various god chambers with a slightly reduced follower count? Completion of the hard tier would reduce the requirement by 2, elite by 4, master by 7, and grandmaster by 10. That one passed, so that's okay. Makes sense, I guess.
Yep.
Should completing all tasks within the hard tier and above give players an increased drop chance for ecumenical keys that allows you to enter the God of Wars with no kill count? Completion of the hard tier would change it to 1 in 55 chances. Elite would be 1 in 50. Master to 1 in 45. And Grandmaster would be 1 in 40. I wonder how much this would stack with your
Wilderness Diary.
Your achievement. Yeah, Wilderness Diaries. Yeah, that one passed. Should completing all tasks within the hard tier and above give players access to a personal instance for each of the boss rooms within God War's dungeon. These instances would cost coins and require a minimum kill count. Would require a minion kill count or coins and an ecumenical key to enter. These instances would be for solo players only, and this one did pass. Next is, should players be able to pay coins, the coins fee for private instances by taking it directly from Death's coffer? Should they have the actual funds? This would apply to current and future instances. This one passed. Should completing all tasks within the hard tier reward players the ability to combine a King Black Dragon's head with the Dragon Hunter crossbow as shown in an image. These would have no additional effects and would be just for cosmetic purposes. You know what I always thought was cool? I think Deegan mentioned this way back, but getting a kill count with your weapon eventually unlocks these transmog options.
Yeah, that would be way cooler than just like the KBD head, which is RNG, or Vorkath RNG. Maybe if it was like if you kill 100 or 150 or 200 or 5,000, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be like if you kill Vorkath X amount of times, you unlock like a blue recolor. King Black Dragon would be a black recolor.
You could just like pinpoint the gold farmers based on who has the Vorkath recolor.
See, it's a double whammy. Jagex can easily ban everyone that gets the Vorkath recolor.
Oh yeah,
it's safe. You don't have to worry. But anyways, yeah, that's how you get that recolor. Next would be completing all tasks with an elite tier reward players the ability to combine a Vorkath head with Dragon Hunter crossbow. And lastly, should Tazar Ket Rax's 6 Jad challenge, a new PVM encounter within Moral Wreck, be added to the game. Each challenge includes defeating a number of Jads and climbing until there are 6 at the same time. Completing this challenge unlocks a new Jad transmog for the pet. That's kind of cool. That also seems crazy as all hell, but okay.
Yeah, this was in the test worlds for a limited time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Go in and like get max gear and try to do the 6 Jad challenge.
Yeah, Wooks did it with his like monitor off or something.
I think maybe he tried it with his monitor off, or maybe he did. I don't remember.
Just volume. I remember seeing. So that's some cool stuff. That seems pretty exciting, and it gives some endgame players something to work towards once they're kind of bored of grinding out the same bosses over and over again. You'll still grind the same bosses, but now with added incentive. Moving on to another biggie. This is the Steam beta announcement for Old School RuneScape. That's right, Old School RuneScape is coming to Steam. That seems pretty minor to a lot of people, but I think that's going to be massive. It could be pretty big when it comes to bringing more eyes onto RuneScape. I read somewhere, RuneScape constantly has close to 100,000 players on at the same time. Sometimes even like quite often more than 100,000 players are playing.
Yeah.
And that would make it like in the top, at the very least in the top 10s for the most game played on Steam if everyone was playing on the Steam client. So that would definitely, cause people look at that chart, they'll see RuneScape up and they'll be like, okay, let's try it out. That might bring some more players. But they're also rebuilding their client for Steam. So what does this mean? It could mean something cool, or it could mean nothing at all if the client still sucks in the end. But that's
truth.
That's really good for the game. That'll bring more eyes for sure, which could mean more growth, which everyone loves. Okay, moving on. We won't go too in depth on this one, but this is the Winter-Todt version of fishing called the Temporos. It's basically a mini game or a mini boss for fishing that allow you to train fishing. And it says, quick overview. It's scalable and accessible, similar to Winter-Todt, I believe. Players would need to be at least 35 fishing to access it. And it's going to be a social encounter, so it makes it a little bit more fun. It will support groups from 1 to 40 plus. Higher levels and experienced players shouldn't feel hindered by lower levels, and these lower levels and new players should still feel useful when doing this minigame, or this, whatever you want to call it. 10 HP accounts, level 3s and hardcore Ironman should also be able to participate without risk. There should be a risk of failing the encounter if players aren't pulling their weight, and existing fishing methods have a lot of downtime, so Temporos should be a faster experience. Does that mean a faster in-game experience or faster like leveling up your account experience? I don't know what that means, but
Yeah.
it should feel grindable without being exhausting. However, this is an alternative to existing fishing methods and the current meta, not a replacement to it. The boss shouldn't give the best experience rates, and we don't want to stop everyone from fishing around Gielinor. So rewards should complement traditional fishing. So anyways, at level 35, you'll get 30k experience per hour. At level 70, you'll get 70k, and at level 99, you'll get 80k experience per hour. These are approximates, and these are subject to change. So they are throwing this boss in an area called the Ruins of Unka, and it's going to be in the Caridian Desert on the western side of the desert. So it's pretty cool. I don't know if you notice, if you looked at the picture, you'll see the map is showing Menifos as well.
Oh yeah, so this is what I've been calling for ages, which is filling out the desert a little bit. Glad to see it's filling out the opposite side from the black spot, but we'll take what we can get at this point. Beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah. So you'll take a boat to get to the actual boss. This doesn't mean we're gonna get Menifos. I would assume that it's still gonna be locked off from accessing. You'll probably have to do a quest, which is not coming out anytime soon, at least. So now let's take a look at the rewards. The very first reward is called the Pool of Debris. The Pool of Debris. You'll be able to loot it. Okay, so if looting the Pool of Debris will give you rewards based on your fishing level as well as small amounts of other resources such as ores. So that passed, of course. People love loot boxes. You know what? Where everyone is outraged about loot boxes in every other game, OSRS is embracing them. Funny to see that. The next is, should you players be rewarded with spirit flakes after the encounter? Spirit flakes would be a common untradeable resource that when automatically consumed while fishing provides a 50% chance of catching an extra fish but no experience. It kind of reminds me of the Dilz essence, but the opposite, since you don't get experience from it. Next is the fishing barrel. The fishing barrel can store a total of 28 raw fish, and it can store multiple species simultaneously. Fish can only be removed from the barrel at the bank, similar to a looting bag. So it's basically a looting bag for raw fish. And the question asked, should it be added into the game? Guess what? We're getting the fishing barrel.
Oh yeah, I think this is going to be pretty redundant, to be honest. Like, unless you're an Iron Man.
I mean, it would be good for like AFK fishing, right? You could throw all your fish in there afterwards.
Well, normally when you're fishing, you drop your fish, right?
What? Who's doing that? I'm not.
When you're
I'm all
like
about
barbarian
banking
fishing
that.
or something.
Yeah, barbarian fishing, that's true. But like anglers or maybe sharks or
I guess if you're doing
I
like
guess?
anglers or sharks, yeah, but that is the only time I think the fish barrel would be useful. Unless you're unless you're an Iron Man. Otherwise, like, doesn't really seem like it would see too much use. But
I guess not. Maybe it has its purposes. Although, yeah, like I said, it would be good for like anglers. Although, spoiler, I should have mentioned this earlier. I moved from anglers to lava eels. If you're AFK anglers, move to lava eels. It's way better. So much more money.
You're talking about the ones in the lava, like in the wilderness?
Sorry, the inferno eels.
Oh yeah, in
the Tazar area.
Yeah.
So much better money. And it's just as AFK. And it's better experience. Okay, but moving on. If the fish barrel is added, which it is, can you combine it with the fish sack from Mulch Island to create an equipable version of the fish barrel? Yes, that's coming into the game. Next reward is the untradeable tackle box. This box will allow you to store your fishing equipment, including fishing rods, feathers, baits, and the angler's outfits. Yes, this is coming into the game. One step closer to the tool belt. But that's okay. Oh, then they actually had another question. So then the next question was only available for Ultimate Iron Men to vote on. And it's, should this be available for Ultimate Iron Men? both the fish barrel and the tackle. So those both passed. Next is the Spirit Angler's outfit as a reward. Should you be able to obtain the Spirit Angler's outfit as a reward after the encounter by combining an item earned from the boss with a piece of standard Angler's outfits? It would have the same stats and give the same experience bonus as the Angler's outfit. It would just look different. So yep, that's coming into the game too. Actually, it doesn't even show a picture of it, actually, yes, it does. The picture looks pretty damn cool. It's some
looks like Sea Pirate kind of thing, like
yeah.
It reminds me of like Legend of Zelda Wind Waker.
Yeah, true. So it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Next is the fishing trophy. While fishing the pools of debris, you may by chance happen upon a rather spectacular aquatic specimen. I cannot read. A fish so fine that it would be worthy of stuffing and mounting onto the wooden board to be displayed in your player-owned house. The fishing trophy is untradeable, and it would be an award. So yes, this is coming into the game, of course. Next is the Tomb of Water and Soaked Pages. So this is going to be pretty much similar to the Tome of Fire from Fishing-Todt. It'll give you unlimited water runes. It'll allow a 20% accuracy increase to water spells from the standard spellbook. This includes curses and binding spells. Curse effects are increased by 50%. Binding effects are increased by 30%, so you'll be able to snare people longer. Water spell damage will be increased by 20%, and ancient magic spell accuracy is increased by 20% as well.
I think this is going to be really redundant as well. Like, do not see where this is going to be useful versus a Tome of Fire.
It might be good for PKing, especially with the ice spells having better accuracy.
Yeah, but you remember that, like, if you're PKing with this, you're going to have to charge it up, and you're going to be risking more for something that's...
Right, that's true.
If you're bringing, like, a +1 or even, like, +3 items, would you bring a Tome of Water over a better +1 risk? Depending on how much this costs, right? Because if it's, like, a couple mil, it's not really worth...
Well, you know what? This question was actually answered for us in the voting system. So let's quickly go through it. So the first question is, charging it with the soaked pages, should this allow you to have unlimited water spells, depending on how many charges from the soaked pages? And should it increase the accuracy of water, weakening, and binding spells? So that passed. So this is the big one. What clip could we throw? What clips could we use? You know what? Okay, so these are the big ones. There's some that aren't going to pass. So not only am I going to announce it, let's bring on Maury. Okay, so if they are the father, that means it passed. If they are not the father, that means it doesn't pass, okay? Let's hype this up a little bit.
What? Okay.
Just trust.
Can you not have found, like, a more applicable, like... Are you, like, into, like, the weird, like, daddy thing? Because you've talked about, like, pregnancy porn. A couple weeks ago, we talked about, like, daddies.
Are you asking if I have daddy issues?
Nathan For You's weird, like, daddy thing. And now, like...
That's so true.
You're not the father thing. Like, I'm just curious, you know? Different strokes for different folks.
What? I've never thought about it, and I've never heard of, like, guys having, like, daddy issues, but I think we might be uncovering something. Okay, let's keep an eye on this.
I don't get paid enough for therapy hours with Dilz.
This is amazing. Yeah, the only reason I do the podcast is it's my own therapy. It's way cheaper than therapy too.
I'm just saying, can you have found, like, a deal or no deal clip or something? You know, like a better yes no, maybe like The Apprentice or something. Shark Tank maybe.
I don't know, man. Maury's pretty iconic.
Wait, is The Apprentice the one with Donald Trump? I don't even know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, with Donald Trump. He's
I was
canceled.
talking about Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. All
right.
Like,
okay, yeah, let's move on.
Okay, so the first question, should you be able to have unlimited water spells and an increased accuracy to water, weakening, and binding spells?
You are the father.
All right. Next, should it have an increased duration of binding spells from the standard spell book? This would affect bind, snare, and entangle. What do you think happened?
Failed.
You are not the fighter.
Knew it. PvP content voted down.
I know.
Let's go.
Should the charged version provide 20% damage increase to standard spellbooks water spells?
You are the fighter.
Okay, makes sense. Pretty redundant, but makes sense.
Finally, should the charged version provide a 20% accuracy to ancient magic ice spells?
You are
Failed,
not.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
so you saw that one coming. So we don't even need to discuss it because that's not happening. People saw that and they're like, "Oh no, that's gonna bite me in the ass down the road." I say no.
Yeah. I want to go do a clue scroll in the wilderness. Next thing I know, some dude with a wet book is coming up to me with 20% increased ice magic.
It's not good. It's not good. But moving on from that, let's get back to some more safer options. Should you be able to recolor the Huron pet by using spirit flakes on it? You'll be able to return the heron back to its normal self by using raw fish on it. That's interesting, but okay. Yes, that passed. Worms were introduced with the release of Cabos Lowlands. They saw the Dragon Harpoon removed from the reward tables from the Chambers of Zarek and instead added to their drop table. Should there be a rare chance to obtain the Dragon Harpoon? I mean, I guess if you have the Dragon Axe from Wintertodt, why not have this the same? So yes,
Yeah,
this
makes
one passed.
sense.
Ooh, look at this. Temperos Challenge Mode.
Oh, yeah.
Many of you have asked for a harder version of it, aimed at higher levels. We can definitely see the appeal there, and it got us thinking. Our main consideration at the moment is if a higher skilled challenge just being added to Temperos is the right thing to do, or if we should instead focus on an entirely new piece of content. As this won't impact the current Temperos design, we'll go ahead with the polls as planned, but we'd love to hear what your ideas might be. So on top of that, they also pulled some fishing trawler improvements. Fishing trawler's a boring minigame, and it's even more boring to talk about. So, and we're running a little bit long, so let's hold this off until it actually gets brought into the game to see what their end result actually looks like. But any improvement to fishing trawler, hell yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Let's see what direction they go. Pretty cool stuff. The Temperos seems kind of cool. Seems pretty neat. A cool way to train fishing. I'm totally in for that. Originally, I would have been like, ugh, this seems so boring to bring this in, because they have this issue where they compare content to older content they did, but then it being completely different. So at RuneFest, when they announced the Hallowed Sepulchre, I kind of like rolled my eyes and I was like, you know what, that's disappointing, because the way they said it was going to be Pyramid Plunder, but for agility. So I looked at Pyramid.
We literally talked about this, in the RuneFest recap.
Yeah, so I looked at Pyramid Plunder and I'm like, okay, Pyramid Plunder is kind of grandfathered in, but it's kind of boring. Like, it's not bad, but if they brought out new content that was just Pyramid Plunder again, like today, it's kind of lackluster for what they've done. So anyways, I thought Hallowed Sepulchre was going to be online of Pyramid Plunder, but it is way better than that. So I'm wondering if Temperos will be the same way, where they compare it to Wintertodt, but it's going to be way more well-designed than Wintertodt is.
Worth mentioning, they talk about the mechanics. We've skipped over talking about the actual mechanics. They look really engaging. There's like 2 phases, stuff like that. It's way more engaging than Wintertodt, but we're just like holding off on discussing them until we see what's actually in the game, because there's no point discussing the implications of these mechanics if Jagex turns around and says, well, we actually couldn't code that in, so we've changed it up a little bit.
That happens a lot, eh?
Yeah.
They pitch these ideas and they realize for some reason we can't do it. So really cool stuff. Are you looking forward to this piece of content?
Yes, I am actually. I need to do my fishing grind soon, but I really don't like doing fishing. It's really AFK unless you're like 3-tick fishing, which is pretty annoying. So to have like a boss that's like pretty engaging to do would be a really cool way to train, even if it's not the best experience per hour.
Yeah, alternatives I'll always welcome. I've also been on the fishing grind a bit. I do it when I AFK, but I think I'll probably pause at level 98. I'm at 97 now. So at level 98, I'll take a break and I'll probably try it out on the Temperos. But I'll always welcome alternatives to break things up. I'm also on the thieving grind, and I love looking at all my alternatives. I got Pyramid Plunder, I got pickpocketing, I got different things to pickpocket, I got chests to steal from, I got this Squirk Juice minigame. I don't even know what that is, but I could do that if I wanted to. So anyways, the more the better, I always say, because the grind's long and it's good to like maybe spend an hour doing it one way, spend an hour doing the other, and this way you don't want to just delete your account. Oh, right. So it was December. You know what that means? It means it's Christmas time. So they brought out the Christmas event. It was very goblin themed. I didn't actually do it because I guess I was doing other things, but I missed it. I think this might be the first time I missed a Christmas event. I'm not too sure. Did you do the Christmas event?
I didn't. I was doing I was in my finals for most of the month, and then towards the end we just were doing bingo for the entire thing. So
that that's probably it as well. They always have their fun little events. They did poll maybe over a year ago that they're going to tweak. They're going to tone down how much effort they put into it, but it looks like they kind of almost went back on it, and they still do some really cool stuff. So the rewards is a giant boulder, which looks like a goblin head. That's customizable, not customizable. It's you can carry it. They have a cozy cabin wall decoration for player-owned houses. Damn it! I wish it took. It looks nice. Goblin decorations. Yeah, those are the rewards you got this year. So they look looks all right. Okay, and the last thing we're going to talk about is, if there's we got to talk about all the controversial issues going on. This isn't even controversial, but they basically had a bunch of world crashes going on, and they had to review what was happening. And it turns out a group of players were manipulating the game content behavior with the malicious intent to dupe items and wealth. They did a big review to make sure it didn't impact the game economy too much. They say it sucks that it happens, but hey, you know what? Get used to it, because this happens all the time.
Yeah.
So this sort of malicious endeavor caused level 3 combat fire capes to be completed. People were skipping the tightrope and Chambers of Xeric challenge mode, and certain techniques used in Barbarian Assault for the purpose of speedrun completion. So I guess they don't really go in depth what was going on, but
wait. When you quick correction, those are the things that they're sad that were removed because of the item duping thing. That's not what they were trying to remove. Those are like unintended casualties.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So they said that some of these fixes led to other activities being adversely affected. This used to be a really cool thing that you could do, where you would skip across the tightrope in Chambers of Xeric and take 0 damage if you did it right. In Barbarian Assault, the way to speedrun Barbarian Assault is you only pick up 1 yellow egg for the final boss. Basically, in Barbarian Assault, you have to pick up an egg and then pass it around the team, which each do different things based on the role. And you have to do it a bunch of times. You have to get 8 eggs to kill the boss. That's how much would damage her for all her HP. But basically, what you could do is you could do this interface stall, where you would basically spam the yellow egg. You can still do it now, but the other one that you could do is you could also duplicate red eggs by quickly switching your prayers and doing a bunch of random things to stall the interface that lets you duplicate red eggs so your team can fire them faster and finish the wave. So
interesting. Okay,
yeah,
well,
they say here we're exploring options to try and replicate old behavior where possible, but there's certain methods that cannot be replicated again.
Oh, right. So yeah, they don't go into a whole lot of detail, but I guess they can't, because they're dealing with a very tricky issue where you can't always talk about the fixes, because then the people could be like, oh, well, that's how you fixed it. Then we can work around it to dupe some more items.
Yeah.
So craziness. Always never a dull moment in the world of Gielinor. So crazy stuff. That's it for updates. We got a lot coming in 2021. It's a lot, maybe not as much as what gets maybe announced at a Rune Fest, but with everything going on in the world with COVID, people working from home, cities in lockdown and all that stuff, it's good to get still a nice chunk of content that looks like it's coming out, and I'm sure they will get some more ideas that come down the road that they'll want to implement as time goes on. So with that being said, we're going to move on to some housekeeping. So the first thing I want to say is thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Next episode, we're going to be finally caught up, which means I'm going to go back to doing my little shout out to my Patreon supporter of the week. But I want to thank everyone right now who's supporting and who have supported us in the past, and maybe who down the line do support us. You guys are great. You guys help cover the cost that it takes to actually run this show. There are some monthly fees that come with uploading podcasts, but it is what it is. But you guys make it a little bit easier for us to do this every single week. So thank you very much. And if you want to join the cool kids at the Patreon club, you can do that at patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. All right. And if you want to hang out with us in game, you can do that at Wild CC. I definitely recommend doing that if you're not in a clan chat already, because this game is much better enjoyed with other people. And we also have a Discord. So if you're already in a clan chat, you can still hang out with us in Discord. Go to Twitter at TheWildernessRS, and you'll find a link right there as well. You can also send us emails. You know, we've answered some questions in the past. We did a little email blast for Christmas time, but maybe you heard some fun questions that you wanted to answer, or maybe you had a story to share, maybe you had a question to ask, whatever it is, you can email us and we will start reading them once we get caught up with starting next week or next episode. The email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. Wow, I'm getting tired. I need to get out of here. Magpies, is there anything you wanted to say before we skedaddle?
No, I think you covered it.
Alrighty. So I'm going to pitch my song of the week this time, and that song, it reminds me of being at the library for some reason. I don't think we were allowed to listen to stuff, but we did anyways. And my favorite track, my favorite track when I first started playing RuneScape was Dark. Magpies, do you know this song? I
do, yeah. Classic.
It is unlocked northeast of the Chaos Temple. Yeah, it's a killer track, and I would manually put it on all the time when I was a kid. So that's the song of the week, which is Dark. The analysis, there is a analysis. I love when the wiki has this. The track is notable as it features 4 different short sections threaded together with none of them repeated. The opening section lasts exactly 50 seconds and features a French horn along to a haunting background sound with a thumping drum beat beneath it. And this segues into a short chorus solo. The second section opens up with a short piano solo. It is livelier and retains the chorus from the first section, which plays amongst a quick synthesized melody. This lasts just under 40 seconds. The third section uses the same French horn from the opening and the same haunting background sound, but this time it plays a little bit slower, a more woeful melody instead that lasts around 30 seconds. Once this dies down, the final section begins, which includes drums, bells, light pianos, flutes, and synthesized strings working together to create a moderately paced, mysterious melody that lasts just over 50 seconds in total. Just as the section closes and the track fades to nothing, the chime of a bell marks the finish. Truly amazing stuff. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. I'm excited for next episode.
Oh, yeah, we're finally caught up.
We're finally caught up. It only took us a while, but it's great. I'm excited to be there again. And yeah, let's catch everyone on the next one.
See you on the flip side.